Okay, so here we are live with another Masterverse unboxing and another episode in our theme of Black History Month. So we're at the tail end of Black History Month. Today is February 27th, and since it's not a leap year, that means tomorrow is the last day of February, which means it's the last day of Black History Month. But don't worry, not only do I have another theme already starting up because we're getting into Masters of the Universe. This is a twofer. It's Black History Month and it's Masters of the Universe. But I got a big one for you tomorrow. A big episode because even though we're opening the Masterverse version of Pighead today, tomorrow we will have the Origins version of Pighead. Not Pig. Yeah, it's this guy again. It's both us guys again. So Pighead. We got the Origins version of him tomorrow in the 3-pack with Sunman and Space Sumo, and also the single-carded version of Sunman. So we're going to talk all about Sunman on the next episode. Should be a lot of fun. But for now, we've got his arch enemy, Pighead, in Masterverse format. It wasn't enough for them to do all the characters from the original Sunman line in Origins. It wasn't enough for them to do a lot of unproduced Sunman character in Origins. Yes, Space Sumo. I'm looking forward to talking about him. Trust me. But yeah, they did do 2 figures of Sunman characters in the Masterverse line. The other, which being obviously Sunman himself, but unfortunately, I don't have him yet. Taserface. Yeah, I have not opened up Taserface on this show. But I do have a Lego minifigure of Taserface. So they only had one villain in the original Sunman line, which was Pighead. So didn't have any more. You can see this is an older figure. It's in the older style packaging. I actually got him at Five Below, which means I got him for $5. Here's a nice piece of artwork on the back. And if that looks familiar to you, it's because it is very heavily based off a Frank Frazetta painting of Conan the Barbarian, which I believe was done for a paperback book. And if you're a toy collector and it looks familiar to you, that's because it was already swiped for action figure packaging of in the old Galaxy Warriors line. They swiped that same Frazetta painting for their packaging. Anyway, let's go ahead and read the bio on the back. Now, it says, Pighead, wicked enemy of Sunman. The rulers of the sun punished Prince Zegor of House Shadis for his cruelty, banished him to the shadows, transformed him into Pighead, half man, half pig, but not half bear. Now he has one goal, to steal the energy from the first sun so that he might harness its power and rule the galaxy. Only one man stands in his way, Sunman. So it'd be kind of disappointing if it wasn't Sunman at this point. He's like, someone should make Conan O'Brien the Barbarian figure. Yeah, I'm surprised somebody hasn't already gotten on that, actually. So, or make a figure of the Flaming Sea. That would be a fun. He would have fit in nicely with Justice League Unlimited, I think. All right, so we got him out of the package. Oh, here's a nice. I'm going to show off that piece of artwork there on the side too. And Pighead comes with a few accessories. First of all, being his mace or flail, if you prefer. So let's go ahead and get that out. And we'll see when we open up tomorrow. But I do happen to have nearby, since I want to compare, the brown version of Pighead's flail. Hello there, Max Games and Toys. Welcome to the show. But yeah, that's this is the version that they recolored in brown to come with Mossman from the Origins line. You can see like the main difference between these two, obviously, versus scale, is that the Masterverse version they gave it a chain instead of just a cord. So yeah, we're going to set that aside for now. We got more accessories to get out of here too. Pighead comes with 2 extra hands, and we can see that there is a left gripping hand and a right solid fist. Now I can see he's got a gripping hand on the I'm sorry. So yeah, he's got a gripping hand on the right hand, so I'm guessing it's going to be a solid fist. No, it's a flat hand on the left hand on the figure. So let's go ahead and get him out of the package. Oh wait, there's one more accessory. He's got this snake, and it is a very rubbery sort of snake. It kind of reminds me of the type of rubber material like you might find on a figure you'd get out of like a gumball machine or something like that. We'll talk more about this snake in a little bit. Lone Dragon says, why do they keep bringing out random characters and still no damn Masterverse Evil Seed? That's a good question. I would have to imagine Evil Seed would be one that they've at least been considering, if not outright planning, since he is one of the more popular characters in one of the more popular characters that was created for the animation. So, I think there's still like figures from the original line that they haven't done in the Masterverse line yet. I don't even know if they've gotten around to doing all the original characters in the Origins line. I think there might still be a few of those even that they haven't gotten around to doing yet. Max Games and Toy says, I was born in the late 80s, so I didn't really enjoy He-Man back then, but when I discovered him in the 2000X, I really fell in love with him, and now I collect everything from Motu. Well, yeah, and that was kind of why they did 2000X in the first place, was try to introduce him to a new generation. Like, I'd grown up with the original He-Man, and I was like, God, like in my early 20s, I think, when that line came out, and I thought they were awesome, and I recollected them. But yeah, that would have been when people my age were starting to have kids of their own, and you want to share the experiences that you grew up with your child, and it's like, oh, I played with He-Man when I was a kid. I bet little Bobby would like to play with He-Man too. So I'll go ahead and pick that up for him. So here's Pighead out of the package, and at first glance, you might just think this is a green monster. He doesn't really fit in with our Black History Month. He's not a Black History Month character, but since he is the villain of Sunman, that makes him, I think, appropriate for this theme. But as we learned reading the bio, he used to be the human Prince Zigor, and from what I could tell from when I went back to research this character a little bit, and I read the mini comic that had his origin in there. He did used to be a black guy. When he was human, he was black. So, oh, there's MHD. Hi there, MHD. Good to see you. Max Game says Origins is more like the vintage. Yeah, Origins is pretty much exactly like in terms of like the aesthetic. It's exactly like the vintage. Like I got it like right here in front of me. Got Keldor. Just happen to have him sitting nearby. And if they'd have actually made a Keldor figure in the 80s, like obviously this is based on the 2000X design, but if they'd have made a Keldor figure in the 80s, he probably would have looked pretty much like this. I swapped out the skirt to make him a little more accurate to the actual 2000X suit. But yeah, other than the addition of a lot of extra articulation, and this is pretty much the same exact look of Trapjaw. They repainted his eyes. His eyes are painted differently on this, and he doesn't have eyebrows. But other than that, if you just look at that much of him, he looks pretty much exactly like the 80s figure. He's just got more articulation, so that's really cool. Masterverse, on the other hand, was I think trying to recapture some of the magic of Masters of the Universe classics, but I don't think they have access to those molds anymore. I think that they, my suspicion is that they leased the molds, might have even sold them outright, might have just loaned them, but my suspicion is they leased the molds to Super 7 so that they could do their classics style figures. Lone Dragon says this is why I can't watch Motu streams. Sorry. We're going to be talking about Masters Universe on this channel. This is going to happen. So yeah, so here's Pighead out of the package, and going to be kind of awkward to use since I haven't opened it yet. But the Origins version of Pighead looks much more like the original figure, and we can see some of the differences here. Like instead of scaly trunks, he's got like a scaly loincloth, which instead of being yellow is actually tan. He's got some extra bits of shoulder armor, which is something that we see a lot of the times with the Masterverse versions of the figure. And there's a darker blue. It's more of a true blue on the Masterverse version. It's almost more of a teal on the Origins version. We'll compare that some more tomorrow. Lone Dragon says, I like Motu. I hate when people say 2000X. And honestly, I don't know why they say 2000X. I don't know. Like, it started in 2002. You would think 2002 would be the thing that you would say. Like, when I talk about, I like the 1989 Batman movie, I don't say the 1980X, like, so, but that's what they call it, so that's what I'm gonna say, so people know what I'm talking about. Maxime's Toy says Formo Toys tried to bring us the vintage Keldor, but faced Mattel's lawyers. Yeah, like that's gonna happen when you try to do a copyrighted character. There, lawyers are gonna get involved. But yeah, I think that this is an original molded. At least the upper part of the torso is new molding. He does have what looks like kind of like the standard He-Man type boots with the fur across the top. New loincloth. Like I said, it's scaly. But other than that, he reuses a lot of the same Masterverse parts that we're familiar with. TMNT fans remember that their best cartoon came out, they say 2003 or 2K3. Yeah, I probably wouldn't say 2K3 because I might type it, but I wouldn't say it out loud because it just sounds awkward. I'd just say 2003. That's just me. But yeah, they say 2000X. I don't know why. I don't know why that's how they say it, but it is. So yeah. Anyway, so Pighead is an interesting design, I think. He's kind of comical looking, but there's like an element of body horror to this. Like, if you think about like Skeletor, like he got transformed. He used to be a pretty handsome guy. Look at that Errol Flynn looking face. He was a good looking dude. He was able to get with Evil Lynn. That's Keldor was a good looking dude. But he got turned into Skeletor, and he's got a skull for a face. So not so much of a good-looking dude after that. But it's not the same as with Pighead, man. Because at least when you turn into a skull, like it's a gruesome visage, and he's definitely scary looking. But it's not the same as getting turned into a pig, man. At least skulls look cool. Like at least skulls look intimidating. This guy, he's got a pig face now. He's got a snout. I bet he drools a lot. I'm betting now that I think about it, being that he's a green pig, probably one of the inspirations for Pighead in the first place. I don't know for certain, but I would guess is that if her son was a fan of He-Man, he was probably young enough that he was probably into Star Wars too, and he probably had a Gamorrean Guard action figure. So here we are with a green pig guy. But I think there's more to it than that. And I'm just speculating here. But when you think about, and we'll talk more about this obviously on the next episode when we talk about Sunman himself. But when you think about the fact that one of the main purposes of Sunman was to try to help black kids feel good about themselves. And again, we'll talk more about this in the next episode. I kind of feel like Pighead is maybe a character that was created for the opposite reason, to make to give kids a bad example, a character they don't want to be like at all. And what are some negative characteristics that are associated with pigs? Max Games and Toys says, Alan, my friend, you need a sign that says no 2000X here. But then people might misinterpret that and think I'm saying I don't like that line, and I do like that line. I still have a lot of those figures, but I just think it's a weird term. I just that's all I'm saying. But yeah, what are some of the negative characteristics that we associate with pigs? Not necessarily that pigs actually have, but that we associate with pigs. Well, obviously there's greed, gluttony. You know, when you eat too much, somebody says you're making a pig out of yourself. You know, laziness, associated with swine, messiness. This room looks like a pigsty. I mean, it actually kind of does look like pigsty. I need to clean up in here a little bit. Pigs wallow around in mud. They're disgusting. Pig's a filthy animal, said Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction. You know, so that's the kind of associations we have with pigs. And of course, the character's name, Pighead, obviously is a reference to pig-headed. So you see, that makes sense. And then the character is green, which a lot of bad guys are green. So maybe I'm reading a little too much into this, but green is also the color of envy. So we've got a figure who's jealous, who's lazy, who's greedy, who's messy, and this is I can see if you're a mom like the creator of Sunman was, and you're creating a line of characters for your son. Wouldn't you want to wouldn't you want to have a don't you don't want to be like Pighead, do you? You don't want to be stubborn like Pighead. You don't want to be messy like Pighead. You don't want to be greedy like Pighead. You don't eat too much like Pighead. So Max Games and Toys says, I really love the Masterverse line, but Pighead is not for me. Well, he's not going to be for everybody. Not every action figure is for everybody, so that's fine. But yeah, I got him at Five Below. I paid $5 for this guy. So I got him like a while ago. I think it was almost a year ago that I picked this up and never got around to opening him. I think because when I got the other two figures that I got at Five Below, I got the Sorceress and I got Manny Faces, and those were ones that I got extras of, for later. And I set them aside, and I think I set Pighead aside when I saw that. I think I forgot that he was a unique figure that I hadn't opened yet. Lone Dragon says pigs are only filthy because people keep them in pens. They are less filthy in the wild. Oh yeah, like I said, I'm not saying like literally what pigs do. I'm saying what we associate with pigs. That's why I was very careful to say that, because I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to insult the noble pig, but it's still like a lot of animals have certain negative characteristics that we as humans associate with them, which aren't necessarily the case. So Max Games and Toys says Classics never made any Sunman. No, they never had the license for Sunman in Classics. They didn't have that yet. They didn't get the license for Sunman until they did Origins. So that's why the first Sunman figures we got from Mattel were in the Origins line. Lone Dragon says pig is slang for cops. So lesson is you don't want to trust the police. Maybe, who knows? it's it's probably a yeah. I don't. Pighead does not want to talk to you without his lawyer. That's all I'm saying. All right. So his accessories is we have this shield, which is molded in a kind of fuchsia maroon color plastic, kind of a dark pink, not red, dark pink. There's a distinction. And he's got like a metallic blue paint deco on it, which looks very much like the same shade of blue that's on his uniform. It's not the exact, it's a little bit more metallic, I think, but that's because the blue parts of his costume are molded in blue plastic, and this is paint, so it's going to look a little bit different. But you can see that the strap, you kind of have to work it around these spikes on his wristbands to really get the strap of the shield on there. And the spikes are another new innovation that wasn't on the original Pighead figure. So Pighead's mace. We'll go ahead and put that into his hand. And that, of course, like I said, is the weapon that the original Pighead came with. So there we go. That's what he looks like with both of his weapons. Now we've got this this rubbery, translucent, like obviously it's supposed to be energy kind of snake that's formed around it. Where can I put the box? Now, if we look at the box, we can see that he's got him wrapped around him kind of like a pet. But this actually came from the original Sunman mini comic that came with the original figures, not the one Mattel made, but the one that Olmec Toys made themselves. And you can kind of wrap it around him as it's seen on the package. So there's that. But what this snake actually is that when Sunman, one of his powers is that he can throw his mace at you and it'll turn into a snake when he throws it, which that's got like some biblical references to it, where like Moses could turn his stick into a snake. So yeah, there's some of that, and of course Serpentor in the GI Joe mythology. Serpentor could do the opposite and turn his pet snakes into staffs and throw them at you. And in fact, he stabbed Duke through the heart with a snake, and it made Duke go into a coma because Duke's just too tough to kill. So, or Duke was saved by ADR, however you want to look at it. Max Toys and Games says, "What about change her head for a Skeletor?" So, change Pighead for a Skeletor. I've got an extra Skeletor head over here, actually. We've got a couple of different Skeletor heads. So you can pop Skeletor's head on there if you want. And the funny thing is since Skeletor has that green sort of shading on there, it actually does fit pretty well on the green body. So well, that's what he looks like with Skeletor's head on there, just for fun. And I also have this extra Filmation Skeletor head, so we might as well pop that on there too while we're at it. That's one of the things I like about the Origins line versus the Masterverse lines, is the heads are interchangeable. So you can take the head off of classics. I'm sorry, off of a Masterverse and put on an Origins, no problem. Max Toys and Games says Classics never made any Sunman. Nope, they didn't have the rights yet. They didn't have the rights for Sunman until they did Origins. So yeah, that was when they finally got around to that. But I've seen people make customs of Sunman in the Origins style. So Max says, "What do you think about changing his head for a Skeletor one?" Oh, well, I just did. So I guess you typed that before I did it. So yeah, but man, they tried to make this like a more serious version of Pighead, I think, in a lot of ways. But he's still got a little bit of that goofiness to him. He's got to have like a little bit of that goofiness to him at least, I think. But there's like I said, there's just some body horror kind of elements to it, because like not only does he have a pig head, but it's like a really ugly pig head, and like it's obviously got problems with it because he's got tusks like a pig, like you think of a wild boar as having, but they're all twisted in different directions. So he doesn't even look like a pig that's like formed correctly. This is just supposed to be like an ugly creature, and like I said, when Skeletor got transformed into Keldor, we'll go ahead and, since I've got the Origins Skeletor head here, he's still cool looking. He's evil looking, but he still looks good. Like, he's ugly, but he's ugly in the way you want a villain to be ugly. Whereas Pighead is just nasty looking. Like I could see somebody being like, if I wanted to be a villain, I want to look like Skeletor. I don't want to actually transform into a skull, but I'll wear a skull mask or something like that. Nobody wants to look like Pighead. Pighead looks gross. he's a gross, pig with gross twisted tusks and gross green skin, and his penis is probably twisted too. Yes, he probably has a corkscrew going on. Like we don't generally like to talk about that kind of stuff, but you know it's true. You in the back of your mind, you're thinking about that, aren't you? Yeah, yeah. It's it's a horrible thing this guy went through, but he apparently was a pretty nasty customer, so I guess he had it coming. So so anyway, that's pretty much it for our Masterverse Pighead figure. He's a pretty cool figure, but he's definitely a little more niche. If you're a fan of the Sunman characters, you're obviously going to want to have this guy for your collection because he's the only villain that they ever made for Sunman. There were some characters that popped up in the original Sunman mini comics that were henchmen of Pighead, but they never got figures made of them. Only Pighead got to be made into an action figure. And you know, if you're a fan of Sunman and you're collecting those figures specifically, well, there's two Masterverse figures for you. There's Sunman himself, which I'm gonna get at some point. I do still really want to get that figure, and there's Pighead. So they have not done Space Sumo in Masterverse yet, but maybe I should make a Space Sumo custom. Maybe that might be a cool thing to do since they haven't gotten around to doing him yet. And I do like Space Sumo. I'm a sucker for ninja characters, even if they're called sumo, which he's really not. Max Games and Toys says I just made a classics Keldor custom using the Origins head. Well, cool. I'll like to see that. I'm pretty sure that this is actually the same sculpt. It's not the same mold, but I'm pretty sure it's the same sculpt that uh, Classics used for Keldor. They just adapted it to fit onto the Masterverse. Ninjor is coming. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Ninjor, so I'll definitely want to get that. Oh, well, thank you. Just keep it inside the farm. Yeah, keep it away from me. I'll put it that way. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're not sick of hearing me talk about Sunman characters yet, like I said, tomorrow we're going to be closing out Black History Month with our Sunman 3-pack and the single-carded version of Sunman, and we'll talk more about the history of that line when we do that. I think that's going to be a perfect way to end the the theme of Black History Month. And we're off to a good start already on our new theme of Masters of the Universe. So we'll be opening a lot more of those in the coming week or so. You know, I've got back here, I've got Grizzlor. I've got the Masters of the WWE China figure. Been wanting to open her for a while. And we got a lot more cool stuff on the way. So if you want to make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you like, subscribe, all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Pighead. He's a really gross guy. Let me know what you think about the character in general, this figure specifically, and we will talk to you next time. Bye.